The House passed a multi-trillion-dollar budget bill this morning by a single Republican vote, and the Trump administration has officially accepted a luxury jetliner from the government of Qatar. Good morning, I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. The Republican-led House of Representatives has approved a bill at the heart of President Trump's domestic agenda. NPR's Claudia Grisales reports the legislative win comes after months of GOP party infighting.
House Speaker Mike Johnson, along with President Trump's help, was able to flip GOP holdouts to get the plan passed by one Republican vote.
This is a historic moment that we will be talking to our children and our grandchildren about, and everyone will remember. America's back.
The bill will extend a tax package passed under President Trump's first term, install new immigration and energy policy, and raise deductions for state and local taxes. It also includes plans for new Medicaid work requirements, which could threaten coverage for millions of Americans. The bill now heads to the Senate, where there's plenty of talk to change the plan. Claudia Grisales, NPR News.
President Trump continued to tell South Africa's visiting president yesterday that his country is ignoring white genocide. He handed South African President Cyril Ramaphosa articles and showed him a video in the Oval Office in front of reporters. Ramaphosa again told Trump that's not true. Kate Bartlett reports from Johannesburg. South African media have praised Ramaphosa for his handling of the meeting.
Composed but firm was the verdict from South African media after Ramaphosa managed to avoid a shouting match with Trump, despite what one local news outlet called, quote, serious provocation. Many South African news websites live blogged the encounter, fact-checking some of the US leader's misinformation in real time. They debunked the conspiracy theory that there's a genocide of white farmers and noted no land had been seized by the government. The Daily Maverick newspaper summed up the meeting, writing, quote, all in all, it was awful, but it could have been worse. For NPR News, I'm Kate Bartlett in Johannesburg.
President Trump is hosting an exclusive dinner tonight at his Washington, D.C. area golf club. Attendees are top investors in Trump's meme coin. As NPR's Scott Newman reports, the event is raising ethical concerns.
Companies tied to President Trump own about 80% of his meme coins. But on the guest list for this dinner are the next 220 top investors. An elite group at the very top will also get a private tour of the White House conducted by the president himself. Norm Eisen was an ethics advisor to President Barack Obama.
Foreigners and foreign governments are going to take advantage of that situation to put money in, expecting things in return.
The White House says the president is working to secure good deals for all Americans, not for himself. Scott Newman, NPR News, Washington.
The Trump administration has accepted a gift from the Qatari government. The Boeing 747 luxury jet is worth several $100 million. NPR's Kat Lonsdorf reports an Air Force spokesperson says the aircraft will be upgraded for use as Air Force One.
The spokesperson told NPR that the Department of Defense had instructed the Air Force to, quote, award a contract to modify a Boeing 747 aircraft for an executive airlift, saying further details are classified. They spoke on the condition of anonymity as they weren't authorized to speak publicly. Trump has suggested the plane could be converted quickly for use as a new Air Force One, but experts say it will likely require significant upgrades to meet the high security and communications requirements, work that could take several years and cost anywhere from several $100 million to $1 billion. Kat Lonsdorf, NPR News, Washington.
Two staff members of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. have been shot and killed. They were leaving an event at a Jewish museum last night. D.C. Police Chief Pamela Smith says a suspect is a 30-year-old man from Chicago. He has been arrested.
Once in handcuffs, the suspect identified where he discarded the weapon, and that weapon has been recovered, and he implied that he committed the offense. The suspect chanted, "Free, free Palestine," while in custody.
The Israeli embassy has identified the slain staffers as Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. Hospitals in northern Gaza have collapsed under Israeli bombardment this week. Israel's military has not commented on these attacks, but says it is targeting Hamas infrastructure. NPR's Aya Batrawi reports the attacks are part of a wider Israeli offensive aimed at pushing Palestinian civilians south.
Israel's military ordered all of northern Gaza evacuated following several days of attacks on hospitals in the area. Rescue crews tell NPR an estimated 100,000 people are still in the north, where airstrikes have killed dozens of people sheltering in homes there, among them a 5-day-old baby Tuesday night. The main Indonesian hospital in North Gaza, which had a trauma and emergency ward, shut down after an Israeli drone bombed its generators. A smaller field hospital was also forced to shut down from shelling on Tuesday. And the director of the North's Al Auda Hospital, Dr. Mohammed Salha, says the medical storage was bombed overnight and the upper floor of the hospital was hit. In a message on WhatsApp, he says patients and staff inside have no safe passage out. Aya Batrawi, NPR News, Dubai.
President Biden's late-stage prostate cancer diagnosis has revived debate about the recommendations around screening. NPR's Yuki Noguchi reports.
Prostate cancer is very common, but also tends to be slow-growing. There's a blood test called the prostate-specific antigen, or PSA test, but it is prone to false positives. In the past, that led to unnecessary treatments, so the guidelines remain murky. In recent decades, the organization that issues recommendations, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, has seesawed, especially for men aged 55 to 69. It gives its own recommendation of testing at that age group a tepid grade of C. For those over age 70, like the former president, screening is no longer recommended because the benefits would not outweigh the downsides of treatment. Yuki Noguchi, NPR News.
I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.